When Richard Nixon became embroiled in the Watergate scandal, at the end of the day, as a patriot, he resigned. He didn't press it. He knew that his presidency was over. Joe Biden's not a patriot. Joe Biden is a traitor. Let me repeat that. He's a traitor. He hates this country. He wants to destroy this country. He's brain dead. He's stupid. He's a criminal. How can you run again to be president of the United States when his health and his mental acuity is virtually zero? And his wife, Jill Biden, as guilty as he is for running interference. And of course, we don't need to mention Hunter, who's a criminal in his own right. Joe Biden should be thrown out on his ass. Excuse the language, excuse the French. He's a disgrace. He's the worst president in American history. And now he wants to deceive the American people yet again to finish off this country so there'll be nothing left. You have my pledge that I will use whatever power I have as the head of Freedom Watch, the former founder of Judicial Watch. I now run Freedom Watch and I have a private law practice to do whatever I can peacefully and legally to have this guy removed and thrown in prison. He deserves to be in prison. If he lives long enough, let him die in prison. He is the absolute devil as far as this country is concerned. And I'm so offended and shocked that he would run again and tell people that everything was just peachy keen when in fact it's not. His Justice Department being used as a Gestapo to quell all dissent. Rampant crime throughout our cities. Whereas I've said before, you can't sit in a cafe and not think about being attacked or knifed from the rear, much less shot. Rampant disease throughout the country, running across the border, terrorists, human traffickers, drug traffickers, sex traffickers, destroying our children with perverted ideology. Let me be blunt. What's going on with the LGBTQ community, they can live their own lives, leave other people alone, but leave us out of it. We want nothing to do with your perversion. You want to be transgender? You want to be transsexual? Be whatever you want. You want to be gay? You want to be lesbian? Be whatever you want. That's your right. But leave other people alone, particularly our children. And when you touch our children, that's a declaration of war. And that's a figurative pun. Touch. Emotionally and physically. And these teachers that are pushing kids to get transsexual operations behind the backs of their parents, they should be indicted, convicted, and locked up. And we're going to be seeking to do that with our citizens' grand juries and our trials. Our military, totally demoralized. We are now far behind China and Russia in terms of nuclear weapons, highly technological weapons. We're on the verge of a nuclear disaster, whether it's in North Korea, whether it's in Iran, whether it's with Russia, whether it's with China. We're on the verge of a nuclear total war. Never in the history of this country have we been in this position. And if you think you can sit there as a retiree saying, hey, I just want to have fun, I'm going to go drink with my friends, I'm going to carry on, I'll be dead anyway by the time the country goes under for the count. Well, you know what? You're probably not going to be dead because it's going to go under before that. And you're as guilty as the people who are destroying this country on the left. And let there be no mistake about it. It is a war between right and left. One side will win, one side will lose. There is no basis for compromise with the left. They need to be legally and peacefully eradicated, like you eradicate cockroaches, assuming you can, because that's what the left is. And I'm angry. You can see how angry I am, because the American people cannot survive another 2.5. And that's why we have sought the indictment of Biden. And you will see, most likely, a conviction. The Citizens Judge is deciding that right now for bribery from Communist China, Russia, and Ukraine. You will see convictions of Fauci for negligent homicide. You'll see convictions of some federal judges, particularly in the Washington, D.C. federal court, for violating their oath of office and throwing peaceful protesters in prison and forcing confessions as if this were Iran. This country has been totally destroyed. It was a process. Didn't start with Biden, but it became much worse under his so-called regime. This fellow patriots, people of faith, those who believe in the vision of our founding fathers, if you care at all about your kids, grandkids, and future generations, you have to rise up now. Look around. Some may be shining, but under the surface, there's a rotting cancer, which is already metastasized. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our cause. Join our Justice League. Contribute with tax-deductible contributions. We need to get bigger. I am not afraid. You cannot be afraid. American people need principles. Things aren't relative. It's not okay that they do it and therefore we do it. We will keep our own house in order as conservatives, libertarians, people of faith. But as far as the left is concerned, they need to be legally and peacefully destroyed before the cancer totally takes the country down. And who is leading that leftist charge? The brain-dead criminal Joe Biden and the brain-dead criminal Kamala Harris and his evil Democrat Party. And don't count on the Republicans to bail us out. They will not. They have become a fundraising operation, a racketeering enterprise. They promise things they can't deliver. When they get power, all they do are dog and pony shows on Capitol Hill. Jim Jordan can take his rolled up sleeves and go back to Ohio State and be the Ohio wrestling coach that he probably was very good at. But don't deceive the American people. Don't tell them that you can do things you can't. The Republicans do not control the Justice Department, the Gestapo of a Justice Department, and they've never accomplished anything. And as the last example, as I said yesterday, Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, who participated in a fraud on the American people, saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. What's the Republican solution? Oh, pretty please, Anthony Blinken, please resign. Well, they have the power to impeach. Whether they convict in the Senate or not is another question. They don't want to impeach because they want to use him as a whipping boy. Senator Greg Abbott in Texas, he could have sent the National Guard and Texas Rangers down there en masse and cut off the illegal immigration. He didn't want to do that. He wants to run for president, so he wants a political issue. This is the way it works. They're not in it for real. They're in it for their own ends, to stuff their own pockets and to acquire power, which gives them yet more money. Meanwhile, the American people get crumbs. Before the French Revolution, the king and queen of France, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, said in French, "Après moi le déluge," after me the flood. After me, I couldn't give a flying you know what. And we saw what happened to them. And I don't want to see that happen in this country. I don't want to see bloodshed. But if you cannot arrest what's going on today, this country will go up in flames. And that's why I asked you to join Freedom Watch and to use us for peaceful and legal ways to bring about justice and to remove the criminality that so infests our so-called government. And our Third Continental Congress, we need a new government, not a new nation. We need honest people. We need bold people. We need people who don't feed the American BS on a continual basis. Only 6% of the American people, according to polls, believe what the government tells them. I'm surprised it's that high. Those people must be retarded to believe anything this government says. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Get my book. It Takes a Counter-Revolution. Wake Up America. I have a plan. If you have a better idea, let us know. But we all need to band together now before it's too late. So today, Joe Biden says he's running for president. A traitor, a disgusting criminal who has no business being in the White House. He should be thrown out on his ass. And that's what we need to do, peacefully and legally. Not just thrown out, but thrown in prison. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves.